I made a video that went a little bit nuts, which is understandable. I was giving a goldfish surgery, which is not something that people really think much about or really know happens. So naturally I received a lot of comments on that. There was over 6,000 comments on that video, which was insane. And granted, half probably from me replying to messages, but it was a lot. And most of them were good. And there were some bad ones. But what got to me was the amount of people that seemed to have no idea about how to look after their fish. They'd get their fish and a week later they'd be dead. Or I'd get a lot of comments that people saying goldfish don't live very long. Why are you even bothering doing it? Why don't you just flush it down the toilet? And I think that's insane. Goldfish can live up to about 30 years in captivity. They are a very long-lived fish and they are worth taking care of. I thought I'd make this video to try and help people out, basically. Let people know what they can do to keep their fish alive and how the basic things you need to know when you're first starting up with goldfish, or fish in general, really. Now, this information doesn't just apply to goldfish. It goes for any sort of fish in captivity. Be it a very fun aquaponic system like mine, or the very basic glass fish tank that you can get. I'm not going to go into things like diseases, because there are a lot of them and it's probably a video all to itself. So if you guys want to hear about that sort of stuff, let me know and I will make a video on fish diseases. But I thought I'd go through the things that are the silent killers. The ones that when you first put your fish in the tank and you come out a week later and they're just suddenly dead. There are 4 major things that are usually the silent killers inside of a fish tank. And they all affect each other, but I thought I'd go through them individually to try and help people out. So the first one is stocking density, then oxygen, filtration, and food. Now they will all affect each other, so you can't fix one without fixing the other, but I thought I'd go through each of them and just help people out, basically. Now, I'm going to try not to be all doom and gloom in this video, but the things that I'm talking about are quite serious, and if you don't follow them, then you are going to run the risk of having fish dying on you, which is not something that anybody really wants. So, the first thing to go through is stocking density. Now, this basically means how many fish can you fit within a certain fish tank size, and there are some very basic things that you can follow to make sure that it works quite well, but they do vary from fish to fish. So if you've got something other than goldfish, I'm going to recommend go online and search through it. So if you've got guppies, go onto Google and search for how many guppies can I fit within a certain amount of water. If you've got something like trout, then do the same with that. But it also does depend on filtration because they affect each other a lot. If you've got something like goldfish, I wouldn't recommend going under 75 litres of water just for one fish, because there's only so much air that the water can store within it, and those fish will go through that water a lot quicker. There are certain things you can do, like turning up the air on it and turning over the water more often, but as a rule of thumb, 75 litres is not something that I would really go under for one fish. And if you want to have more fish, then just keep on doubling it for the amount that you want there. And if you've got something like this, a goldfish pole, they are one of the worst things because they just do not hold enough water and you will end up with fish not very happy inside of it. Now, the next biggest killer is oxygen, and it's one of the hardest to actually test for because everything that can do it, that can test for oxygen, is really very expensive. It needs to be calibrated, and I just wouldn't recommend anybody that's doing it naturally at home to get it because it's just really expensive equipment. But we need to make sure that there is enough oxygen in there. The same as I need to have enough oxygen around me to breathe, they need to have enough oxygen inside of the water to be able to survive. And it's different from us. I can just open a window and oxygen will come in. But in the water, you need to be adding oxygen to it. This can come through a couple different ways. If you've got a fun aquaponic system like mine, then oxygen gets added through the water movement. Water splashes in from the grow beds and it creates enough turbulence and just lets enough oxygen into the water. But if you've got a simple aquarium, then you're going to need to pump air into it. And there are lots of air filters out on the market. I'd recommend getting something that pumps out about the same amount of air as your fish tank size, or more if you've got a filter that requires air, or you've got little ornaments inside of it that chew through air, then you're going to need more. So I'm going to recommend just going online, go to Goldfish forums, go to places like that that can give you lots of information on what you're going to need. And the last one, and probably equally important as all the other ones, is filtration. To understand how basic filters work, you need to understand the mechanics behind it. We're not just trying to mechanically stop all of the solids from going back into the fish. We need to also convert all the ammonia that's produced through the fish. So fish produce ammonia through their gills when they breathe, and they also poop it out. So the solids that come from them will excrete ammonia as well, and we need to remove this, because if we don't, the fish will breathe it in, it'll burn their gills, and bad things will happen. So to convert this ammonia, we use something that is really easy and really handy: bacteria. It's in the environment all around us, and it is one of the easiest things to get. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, the bacteria will just be inside of the environment, and it will colonize your fish tank. It'll colonize on anything inside of the fish tank, anything at all. But what we do inside of a filter is give lots of space for that bacteria to colonize, and it'll grow on there, multiply, and given time after it's cycled, there will be enough bacteria on there to convert all the ammonia that you can produce. The basics of any sort of filter is to give space for the bacteria to colonize and to push water through that bacteria, and that will just basically convert all the ammonia into a very safe, harmless nitrites or nitrates. Nitrites are still poisonous to the fish, but very quickly it'll be converted into nitrates, which are quite safe. For my filter, I have a grow bed, which is fantastic. It's just a whole lot of media, gravel in my case, that the water flows through, the bacteria colonizes on every single bit of the rocks that are connected to the water, and they just convert it all into nitrites, which is something the plants can grow on, which is really quite handy. So mine also had the added advantage that it uses up all the nitrates as well. If you've got a traditional filter and you're not cool as me to have your own aquaponic system out the back, then you are going to need to also use up the nitrates, which is going to usually come in water changes. So you are going to need to test your water. I've got a video here that goes through cycling and how to test for water changes and things like that. It's one of my older videos, so it's not as fancy as some of my new ones, but all the information that you need will be there. Now, you may notice that I didn't go into masses of details about the different filters, because there are a stack of them, and what you will want will depend on the sort of setup you got. A koi filter will need something a little bit different than a small sponge filter. If you've got a big aquaponic system like mine, it's different, and if you've got a small aquarium, then you need something different again. So I am going to leave links in the description that will go through all of these sort of things and give you guys the information that you can search through and find out yourself, because there is not one answer fits all sort of question to this. And yeah, stay seriously, make that face. That is the goldfish face. Now, if you are feeding your goldfish this, then you are a cruel person, because it is basically a starvation diet. It's not designed to help the fish grow, it's not designed to help with nutrition, it's designed to be just enough to keep them alive so that they don't poop too much, they don't mess up the filters too quickly, and just keep them alive. And it's not a very good feed for them. You'll need a good quality feed, something that's full of protein and something that just helps the fish survive and thrive. I use a proper aquaculture feed because it's cheap, it's really good quality, and it's just one of the best things that you can get for them. You want to feed them about twice a day and feed them only as much as they can eat in about 5 minutes. Anything more than that, it'll sink to the bottom and start to rot, and they just won't touch it. If the food starts to rot on the bottom, then you're going to come up with lots of bacterial issues and lots of problems with stuff like that. And I just really recommend you don't. And plus, it's a waste of food if they're not eating it. So give them the amount that they can eat in about 5 minutes. Now, when I first started my system, I bought goldfish that were about that big. And after I started them on good quality aquaculture feed, within about 6 months, they had doubled in size. And I'm talking about goldfish that in the shops were probably about 10, 15, 10, 20 times more expensive than these. And that's only a 6-month gap. I've had some goldfish in there that are about 4 years old now, and they are literally about 30 centimeters long. And it is amazing to watch them grow, and they are not that old yet, because goldfish, as I said, can go for about 30 years. So get a good quality feed and get your fish onto them. Now, there are lots of other things that can come into play with goldfish and fish in general. There are things like introducing new fish to the fish tank, there are diseases, there are water temperatures, and if I went through it, this video would go for a long time. So if you guys want that sort of stuff, please let me know and I will make a follow-up video that has all that sort of information. I hope this video comes in useful, and if you think others could get something for it, or you know somebody that has a lot of trouble with goldfish and can't keep them alive, then please, please, please share it with them. I'm not saying it just for my own good, but I really don't want to have fish just being flushed down the toilet because people don't know how to look after them. And I'm going to ask you to give the videos a thumbs up, because it just makes the search ranking a little bit higher and makes it so more people can see this sort of information. But only do it if you think the information is good and trustworthy. Now, if you've got any questions, please ask away in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. And don't forget to subscribe to my stuff, because I put out a lot of interesting stuff, and if you guys like watching that sort of stuff, then I think we'll get along very well. So, thanks guys, I hope you got something out of this, and I shall see you guys next time.